Today we're going to learn 5 easy ways to shred on just one string. Okay, today to keep everything very simple, as I said, we're going to be working only on a single string, and we're going to do everything on the A minor scale just to choose a scale to work with. We're going to play it on the B string starting on the 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th, 15th, 17th, 18th, 20th, and then back to A. When I play down the natural minor scale, sometimes I will slip into the harmonic minor at the end simply because it sounds cool. Right there. So it doesn't really matter. You can choose any scale to work with, but today we're using the A minor scale and we're looking at 3 notes at a time. So any of these patterns that we're doing today are simply going to involve 3 notes. And we're going to develop a simple pattern out of each of those 3 notes. And then we move it to the next segment in the scale and play the exact same pattern, but with 3 different notes. Let's begin by descending down the scale, and it will be a simple pattern that you can get started with. It begins on the 17th fret, then we go up to 20, down to 18, back to 17. So our 3 notes that we're starting with are, but the pattern we're playing with those 3 notes is, then we slip down to the next scale fragment or chunk, 15, 18, 17, back down to 15, now down to 13, 17, 15, 13, down to 12, 15, 13, 12, down to 10, 13, 12, 10, and here's where I slip in a harmonic minor to make it sound cool. 9, 12, 10, 9, and then back to 10 to end on that A. Altogether, it sounds like this. It's a very easy pattern to move and manipulate, and you don't have to play the entire scale, but we're just doing that for demonstration purposes. You can choose any part of it to use as a lick or as a phrase. I could go ascending if I wanted. Whatever works. The point of this is it's very simple to use just 3 notes and develop a pattern out of it, get good at that pattern, and then shift the pattern. So this is going to be our second pattern we're going to develop out of this. We're still going to use the same notes, but instead of going to the next connecting 3 notes of the scale, I'm going to skip and go down to the pattern I would play. This would be the 3rd pattern I would play. Typically I would do this, but we're going to leave out that middle one, that one right there. So I'm going to start here on the 20th, well, 17, 18, and 20, and skip down to 13, 17, and 15. Then we'll go back up to 15, 18, and 17. Now down to 12, 15, and 13, and then back up to 13, 17, and 15, down to 10, 13, and 12, back up to 12, 15, and 13, and then we'll finish it with harmonic minor here, down to 9, 12, 10, 9, and 10. Here's the whole thing together. A little quicker. You obviously don't have to play that entire pattern like that because we went on and on, but it's a really useful way to play something that sounds very melodic, and it's not hard at all. Now our 3rd pattern that we're doing today with 3 notes at a time in our little chunks and scale fragments that we're using is going to be a legato pattern. Legato is where you do hammer-ons and pull-offs, to achieve the sound, and it sounds really liquidy. So for example, and I like to switch on the bridge pickup for legato. It's a little more defining for the notes instead of up here on the neck. So we'll keep it on the bridge. So legato is simply this. So I only picked the first note there, and I just kept it going. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our little 3-note chunks, and we're simply going to string them together with legato and do a 1 pick stroke on each fragment and play the rest of the notes with hammers and pulls. Go down to our next fragment and pick that one. So I'm hammering everything else and pulling. Now with a legato pattern like that, the notes do run into each other as they should, and it sounds very liquidy, but it's also easy to lose your sense of timing. When you're picking, it's easy to maintain a nice even pick stroke. However, when people play legato licks, they can kind of bunch up the notes, and you tend to choke out some of the notes. So just be very careful when you practice that you are thinking about your timing and hearing every note. As if you were picking each note. All right, our next one here begins on the 10th fret, and we are going to begin with 10, 12, and 13. And we're simply going to play up and down those notes a couple of times. And then you move to the next fragment. But again, your brain is only thinking about 3 notes in each fragment, so just keep that in mind. It's easy when you think of it that way as opposed to just some huge, long pattern. So a little quicker. The hard part about that one, I would say, is keeping everything nice and even on the position shifts, because it is tough to go. You can kind of hear in there, I have to be careful because I have little gaps in between those position shifts. So you do need to work on these slowly, but all of these licks we have done today are ones that you can work on slowly and then bring up to speed, and they will be part of your muscle memory. Okay, the last one we are doing today is the most difficult one for sure, but it's still a single string ostinato, in other words, a pattern of notes on 3 notes. So we'll go back down here to the 10th fret and begin on the 13th fret and hit the high note, go down to the 10th fret, and then up to 12, 13, 12, and back down. So it's 6 notes altogether. It's a sextuplet. It is not an easy pattern to get fast, but it is easy to memorize, so you can work on it, and once you have developed the muscle memory you need, the speed will come along. Just make sure you aren't bunching up the notes too much together. And to kind of check yourself, just imagine if you were playing a single note and then play the 6 notes. That sort of thing. So I'm going to move it through all the fragments, and you can follow along on the tab. This is one of those patterns that is good for a standalone lick. But you can move it around through the other fragments that we just did. So why don't I start at the top and drop down? That is harder. It always adds another element of difficulty to it, but I think it sounds great. So work on the pattern by itself and get that down before you shift it around. Again, I want to emphasize everything we did today was based around 3 notes. That's the most simplified way of looking at it, and then you make up a pattern based around those 3 notes and then simply shift it to another position when you're ready to move. That keeps everything a little more simplified and easier to process, not only with your fingers but with your brain. Once you get good at that pattern, you're able to move it around much easier than thinking of it as a huge long phrase like. Don't think of it that way. Always think of the patterns individually and then string them together once you're comfortable with those shapes. I hope you enjoyed these patterns today. They really are fairly easy to learn. They may not be easy to play at a high tempo, but just learn them at your own pace. Use them over music, whether it's backing tracks or with a band you're jamming with. Don't get better at things like this by only practicing them with a metronome. You need to try it with music and turn it into something musical. Where to put the accents and where it simply fits tastefully. So make sure you're doing that, and you're going to get a lot better quicker by doing that method. If you want to support my channel and the videos I make, a great way to do that is to shop through the Sweetwater affiliate links down below. I'm now a Sweetwater affiliate, and I've listed all my gear down below, and if you want to shop for some of those items or anything else at Sweetwater, every little bit will help the channel. You can also go over to patreon.com/Paul Warren Music and become a member and support me that way. Thank you all so much for watching and for sharing these videos. If you're not a subscriber, please become one and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're aware of new video releases. I'll see you all next time.